The rules of inversion maintain the algorithm entropy by not defying the grandfather paradox in the posterity of closed-loop time travel theory. This is spoilers.
That makes sense, right? I mean, what's so hard to follow?
If you can't get that, then just turn it off.
If you can't get that one simple sentence, don't even bother watching this movie, basically.
That's physics 101, dude. All right, guys. This is pretty special spoilers. There's never been this combination of just us before. Oh, wait. No. Even on your pod, definitely not. So, this is Tenet. I don't think I've said that yet, but my friend Korey and I, we both braved the theater in different states. My state's a little better than his, but that's okay. Can't blame him for that.
Still on that, huh?
Oh, no, just kidding. But I went to see this movie in Fort Wayne, and I am recording from Fort Wayne, and I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Korey, and he can tell you his name and his theater experience as well.
Yes, so this is Korey. Thank you, Brett. I am recording out of Simi Valley, California, although I made the trip down to San Diego to see this particular movie and to kind of, just have a nice time with the wife. But this was one of the big parts of it. Really, really anticipated this movie, and I'm really glad I got to see it the legit way and not watching some, fucking dude that recorded it on his phone in the theater.
Yeah.
That's not a way to watch any movie, but especially this movie, right?
Yeah, I watched it, and then Korey started talking about, I know someone who might have like a film. I go, do not watch it like that. I'm begging you, do not watch it like that. But yeah, I also went to the theater with my wife. It was really empty. Was your theater empty, or?
Yeah, there was probably less than 20 people. So,
okay,
yeah.
I think we had probably 20 or 30, and it was just really nice to get out. Like, we never went to the theater that much, but we love movie theater popcorn, and we went with two friends, so it was just a really fun experience. But just as a spoiler, inside a spoiler, I am a Christopher Nolan, you could call me a fanboy, and I'm pretty sure Korey's also quite the fan of Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's my favorite director, at least now. Director and definitely writer, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one else like Christopher Nolan, is there?
Definitely not. No, I mean, people have thrown around, modern Kubrick and stuff, but, I don't want to, give him that yet, but, I mean, I think he's incredible, and I think this movie, I don't know, maybe the most ambitious script I've ever seen. I mean, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, if this movie was on paper and it wasn't written by Christopher Nolan and it was being passed around, I mean, whose name do you think would come up to direct this? I mean, it's Christopher Nolan all the way. This is a Christopher Nolan movie. I mean, he's very famously done a lot of movies that have to do with non-linear time. I think, in fact, I think they're all like that except The Dark Knight. I haven't seen Insomnia. That's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah,
so
but he did not write Insomnia.
Oh, okay.
He just directed it. Yep. So, and I haven't seen The Following. That was his first movie. Have you seen that?
I have seen that. I saw it a long time ago, and I believe there's some non-linear time stuff there.
Okay.
So yes.
But yeah, he's apparently obsessed with time, and that comes off in this and Interstellar and Memento and all that stuff like that. So.
Well, let me ask you this, Brett. Maybe just to get things going.
Yep.
Did you feel after watching Tenet that you had a really strong grasp of what you just witnessed?
Oh, definitely not. No, we went to dinner with the friends who went to, and my friend just kept saying, my head hurts from thinking so much. I don't. And then we planned on talking about the movie at the restaurant, and we learned pretty early on that was not probably going to happen. We both kind of wanted to dive into it. Now, my wife and I are subtitles watchers, so a lot of the dialogue in the movie, apparently it's a Christopher Nolan thing where the voice track is really low and the sound effects and music are really, really high. Throw in Aaron Taylor Johnson speaking in Cockney, and Priya Singh was just kind of hard to understand. We missed a lot of stuff. But I've done a lot more research.
There was a combination of a lot of things there. I mean, I've seen the complaints online about the mixing, but also the accents were kind of tough, and
yeah,
I'm like you. Once you get addicted to subtitles,
definitely, it's really hard. I mean, for sure. I dabbled in subtitles until I met my wife, and then she was hardcore subtitles. We watched subtitles and everything. So For sure. I didn't have a problem with the mixing or the music. I just thought the sound was really loud. I mean, I thought the music was awesome. What is it?
I did too. Absolutely.
Ludwig
Göransson, yeah, something like that. Apparently, it wasn't the normal guy. It wasn't, what's his name?
Hans Zimmer, because, he was working on Dune.
Yes. And
apparently, Ludwig Göransson or whatever was getting ready to start making the music like in the studio, and then COVID hit, so he kind of had to like pass music back and forth, which makes it even more impressive in my opinion. He's the guy from Black Panther and stuff like that. If you don't know that, he won the Oscar last year or 2 years ago, so pretty impressive. And again, I heard people say you could kind of like close your eyes and be like, oh, that's definitely Hans Zimmer. I mean, it's definitely Hans Zimmer-ish. So I don't know, he's pretty exciting in the music thing. I guess we could talk about the cast real quick. I love this cast. I mean, it's pretty top heavy. There's a lot of no-name people because it kind of focuses on, I can't imagine if they would have focused on any more people. It was already pretty, I'm not going to use the word convoluted because I say it, that's kind of a 4-letter word, but I thought John David Washington, he plays the protagonist. I don't know, I've only ever seen him in this and BlacKkKlansman, and I thought he was really, really good. Kind of a natural for the role, and he was kind of the perfect yin to Robert Pattinson. So, what do you think of those two?
I mean, Robert Pattinson just impresses me more and more, and it's amazing how like impressive he is as an actor. Like every time I see him, I just can't believe that's the guy back in the not Lord of the Rings, back in the Harry Potter days. You know, like it's amazing Twilight, to me that that's the same guy. Really impressive cast. I love Kenneth Branagh.
Oh yeah. Someone was talking about, they said he commands, like, he's so heavy in this movie, but like it really works. He commands so much of your attention because he's awesome. His first foray into Nolan and Dunkirk, I thought he was awesome, and I'm really glad he's kind of hopped on board. I have heard a common complaint, and I say it has merit, is this is probably his least emotional movie. Like, you don't really get any backstory on anybody except for Kat, and a little bit on, Andre Satter, but without Kat, there's like really no emotion in this movie. You don't really care about anybody's story. I mean, I do, just because of how the movie was set up, but like, it's like, why are you supposed to care for these characters? And they don't really give an answer for that. And I've heard he's done that on purpose. I get that. It's a lot more detached than some of his other movies, but which kind of brings Kat, Elizabeth Debicki, like she's like the emotional core in the movie, and everything kind of flows through her, which I thought was really cool. So
I mean, with like someone like Christopher Nolan, everything's a choice, Yeah. And it is interesting that I was so engaged in a movie that is so detached from its characters. Mm-hmm. Like this is a very story-driven movie. It's not a character-driven movie, in the ways that a lot of Robert Pattinson's other movies are. But it still like held me. And you're right, like the emotional pool is with Kat, because I mean it's almost kind of like the easy emotional strings. Like she has a kid and she just wants her kid and she wants to go live a life away from the guy that's controlling her. Everything surrounding it though is really amazing, and I don't know, maybe we can talk about that, because what is Tenet to you, Brett? Like how would you describe Tenet to someone that had never seen a trailer?
Oh, okay, so I actually had to describe it to somebody who had never even really heard of it. He's been so out of the loop. It's just, oh my gosh, it's about time inversion. I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, you can't say one thing without saying like 10 things. It's kind of like you said earlier. It's about you have like your typical bad guy, bad person, and then I don't want to say damsel in distress because that's such an outdated thing, but you know what I mean. And then everything kind of flows around those two. But then there's like a bunch of other stuff that listen to the spoiler at the beginning of the movie. It's kind of a joke, but it's kind of serious. I mean, that's how crazy this movie is. What do you think?
I mean, there's a lot going on, but it, in my opinion, and like, I guess a this is kind of borrowed from other people and kind of, I don't know, I congealed it into my own thing, but it's like a spy movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like a secret agent movie.
He loves Bond.
Oh, Christopher Nolan?
Yep.
So it's like a James Bond-esque movie with this big twist added onto it. I don't know if twist or gimmick is the right term, but
Ugh, I hate that word.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a little bit of a pejorative, but I don't really mean it that way. But this movie does something that no movie I've ever seen does. And that's where they have this thing introduced called inversion. Mm-hmm. I'll try to explain that as best I can, but
yep.
They introduce inversion, which basically means shit can go backwards. How's that for a one-sentence explanation, Brett?
Yep. That's good. I mean, I have some on here if you need to lean on those.
So, they have this ability to either have a person or people or objects be inverted where they flow against the natural flow of time.
Right.
So if I witness something or someone that's inverted, they appear to go backwards. And that's all in the trailer so far, right? Like they show backwards events, like a backwards car crash was the big trailer moment.
They showed a couple little things, like the bullet. One of the earlier trailers, you see, John David Washington's talking to Clemence Posey, and the kind of bullet goes into her hand. She says something like, "Don't think it, feel it," and you have to imagine yourself dropping it. If you want to pick it up, if you want to pick up an inverted bullet, you have to imagine yourself dropping it. So, again, that's, if you haven't seen the movie, that might not make a lot of sense, but you get a really base exposition dump at the beginning with Clemence Posey, and that kind of carries you the next hour, and then they start talking a little more low. So, I mean, yeah, if you can understand the concept of inversion, that's definitely the biggest theme in this movie. So, that'd be the first thing I'd talk to someone about is inversion.
The exposition dumps in this movie kind of break things down, and, you only have to follow enough as like the character does when it's introduced to him. Mm-hmm. At some point, they even say to him, like, don't try to fully understand it. Like, this is kind of the way it works. And he's like, all right.
For sure. I think she says, don't think it, feel it. Now, he's also known for that, walking around, beautiful landscapes sometimes, and they're doing exposition dumps. Inception did a lot of that. They were walking through a city, and talking about Inception. So that's kind of his thing, and I think it comes off naturally. No,
yeah, definitely. In the topic of inversion, like, there's some really big moments of this movie, which we can touch on some of them, or like which ones you really like.
Right.
But, first of all, I just got to say that, like, the effects in this movie are fucking amazing. Like, amazing, top tier, best I've ever seen, maybe. Yeah, no, for sure. I'm kind of bummed that they showed it in the trailer, but I think my favorite camera shot thing ever was at the end when the building puts itself together and then the other part of it blows up. Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's like the coolest shot, and I wish they wouldn't have shown it. Even though when I saw it in the theater, it's not like I thought, oh man, I saw that in the trailer. I just was like, holy crap, what was that? I mean, and the first time I'm not going to say yet what he does, but he fights somebody, and it's obvious that he's fighting in real time, but also in reversed, inverted time. I mean, it's crazy. Like, can you describe it?
The protagonist? Yeah. So that's probably my favorite moment of the whole movie, and it has a really good payoff. Mm-hmm. There's a big, like, hand-to-hand fight scene with our lead character, who's just called the protagonist, doesn't have a name.
Yep.
I like to joke that when someone doesn't have a name, they just call him Chief. So they're just like, hey, Chief, hey, guy, come here. But
there you go.
He has a hand-to-hand fight scene with, like, a masked individual who's inverted, so he's moving backwards in riot gear. So to see someone in moving forward, linear time like us, fighting someone who's moving backwards is incredible in and of itself.
And it looks as cool as it sounds. I mean, it's insane.
I guess the closest Nolan comparison was like that big hallway fight scene in Inception.
Right.
Which at the time I saw it, I was like, that's the coolest fight scene I've ever seen. And now this has surpassed it.
I agree.
And the special effects comment I made, usually when you think special effects in a movie, people automatically think CGI. Like, oh, how real does the CGI look? This movie takes special effects and it just like, it takes it to a whole new level. And I don't just mean like the CGI is better. Like they do something else. And it's really refreshing to see something else other than the shit that we keep seeing like in your... every other movie, in your Fast and Furious movies or your Jurassic Park movies, you know?
And don't get us wrong, we like those movies.
Sure.
But yeah, it's nice. I mean, how much, especially in the last 10 years, how much recycled garbage have we seen come out of theaters? I mean, and I don't really, garbage obviously is, like you said, pejorative, but, there's a reason why we get reboots and remakes is because I feel like people are lazy or running out of ideas, and to see something like this, I mean, not only is it it's like the highest grossing, I don't know, but it's an original story. Like he didn't get any source material from anywhere, and it's insane to me. I think it took him years to write this. And just the fact that it's original and he's got an original idea and the way he shot it, when you see it, hopefully, if you guys are listening, you've already seen it, because I feel like if you're going to listen to this and not see it, you're going to miss a lot of cool payoffs. And I know a friend I went with said he thought there were less payoffs than some other Nolan movies, but I thought the payoffs were all really good. Like, hopefully you bring up the hallway fight scene later if we do that. If we go that far, if not, then you'll just have to see it. But it's just refreshing, in my opinion, to see something that's new and just so dynamic.
Yeah, not to deviate too far, but the industry itself, I have a feeling, is like part of the problem, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I don't know if they're allowing people to make this kind of movie unless it's an IP that they know is just going to make money. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Star Wars, okay, greenlight it, fucking $100 million. But something like this, I mean, Christopher Nolan has worked for a long time to get to the point where he can make Tenet, and it's amazing. But to circle back to that hallway fight, later on in the movie, we do get to see it from the other vantage point.
Oh, man.
And there's maybe some rule breaking, which we can touch on, but it's the protagonist that is fighting himself, as we later find out, because we see from his vantage point, he's the guy in the riot gear. He's inverted. And then I don't even know how the fuck they did this, but it shows him fighting his other self, and you can kind of see it from his point of view, so the other guy looks backwards.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
It's mind-boggling, and it's amazing. There was a point in this movie, Brett, and it was at the very beginning. There's a big action scene at the beginning, like a terrorist takeover of an opera or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I started laughing out loud. Like, there wasn't anything funny happening, but like I was so happy to be seeing this, and like it sucked me in so quickly that I just started laughing. Like I was just feeling joy, man. It was great. Yeah, like right away, you don't know what's going on, but you see like a bullet that's floating backwards, and I mean, it's just like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I think the only time I've ever laughed at a movie like that wasn't a comedy was like at the beginning of The Revenant, where I was with a woman who didn't want to see the movie, and after 5 minutes, like there's arrows going in people's faces, and I just started laughing. I'm like, she's gonna have to sit through 2.5 more hours of this movie, and she hated it. And I just started laughing out loud during all this death because I knew how miserable she was. But okay, go ahead. Oh, you're a sick man.
Just even like a scene in a trailer where they're showing like the propeller of a boat that looks natural, but if you look at it like the waves are like inverting and then reinverting. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and there was a moment with the ship. It's probably the same one, but I thought it was just going forward, and we were just like holding on this like establishing shot of a ship, but it wasn't going forward. It was going backward, which is like, oh, okay, what are we seeing? Like, who's in this?
Yeah, what are you seeing? Because it's like at the very beginning, and we don't know what we've seen yet. So yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of like threads in this movie, and I guess that has a double meaning, doesn't it?
The red thread, yeah.
There's a lot of threads that connect things from the beginning to the end. And I guess the big moment is with Robert Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe you want to take the reins on that one?
Okay. You talking about with the red string on his bag and all that stuff, and then
yeah, because to me it plays like there's I don't know. This is just wishful thinking, I guess. Sequel potential.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, because even at the end, even there's at least 2 other Robert Pattinsons around somewhere, but you'll know what I mean more if you watch the movie. But yeah, so early on in the movie, very, very beginning of the movie, our protagonist is saved by someone. You don't know who he is. He's got this red string in his bag. And later on, you meet Robert Pattinson, who seems to know, early on, he knows the protagonist's favorite drink, which you shouldn't really know. And then throughout the movie, he seems to know more than he should, even to the point where one time the protagonist thinks that he's a mole working for Sater or something.
Yeah, and like I was starting to lean that way too.
Me too, and I was devastated. Because he's so cool, and they're starting to get cooler and cooler with each other. Well, as you go on, I don't even know how much we're going to touch on the end because it's such a chaotic last 30 minutes of the movie. But it all ties back to the end. He gets saved again by someone. We see someone on the ground who's been killed, and he's got a red string in his bag. Now, I'm not going to lie. Did you notice the red string the first time at the beginning?
I didn't, but I mean,
me neither.
In good filmmaking style, they let us know visually that is significant, and it your mind fills in the gap. I think, right? You're like, oh, it must have been that. That's the loose end.
That's really Pappy likes to talk about trusting your audience. This puts a lot of trust in the audience because, again, you have to really think about it, and like Korey said, you got to fill in the gaps. But you find out that the person that was there ends up being Neil, who's Robert Pattinson's character, and he actually does some weird inversion to save them. And then you find out should we like go into the big spoiler at the end, or because that kind of feeds into the Robert Pattinson thing?
Yeah, I think we should.
At this point, if you're still listening, this is a big spoiler. If you don't want to hear, probably, in my opinion, the biggest spoiler, then fast forward over the next minute or just stop listening and come back after you've watched it. All right, we're good? Okay, so at the end, you find out the protagonist was the creator of Tenet. He's the creator of everything, the future protagonist. He hired Robert Pattinson in the future, sent him back in the past. I mean, it's kind of like he's the one that everything you see happening in Tenet and all the other stuff was done by the protagonist in the future, sent back in the past to stop. Gosh, we haven't even talked about what the whole like MacGuffin in this whole movie is, but once I get done with that, you go ahead and talk about. Oh, I'm getting a death look from my wife. What? Oh, 24 minutes. She said I'm taking too long.
Okay.
So I got about 6 minutes to finish this pot. I told her 30 minutes. Okay, so yeah, that's basically the big twist at the end. You find out that he's moving all the levers and switches and stuff like that in the future. But
yeah, and I mean, I'll touch on it a little bit, but essentially this whole movie is to, I guess, stop this big doomsday device from our villain here, and the way they pull it off at the end is I mean, it's just remarkable. Like, they explain it, but I didn't really understand what was happening until it started unfolding. And I'm referring to the red team, blue team big scene at the end, which is another thing on the list of like most incredible things I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, and super original.
Where they have like the one set of like soldiers moving in regular time, and then the other set moving in inverted time. But they did it first to tell the guys moving in regular time what they were going to expect to see.
Yeah.
But when they saw it, they saw everything occur at the same time. I mean, I know it's kind of a mind fuck, but that's just the nature of this movie. But in execution, it is truly a sight to behold.
Yeah, and I saw someone say it like, yeah, there's a lot going on, and you sometimes don't know what's going on, but at the same time, it's not super important what's going on because you have two characters that split away from everything. The whole point is for them to split away while the other people take care of this army they're fighting. So, it is, a cluster, but it works, in my opinion, and if you can see it in the big on the big screen. I mean, I understand if you don't want to. It's pretty scary out there, but if you can, it's worth a shot. Theaters are pretty not packed. So, yeah, I guess we don't really have to get into doomsday device, so it's just your typical end of the world.
Exactly. Remember when we did the podcast on The Rock?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't need this shit. I understand Christopher Nolan movies.
Yeah, you were wrong.
Well, I just want to say for the record, I said that a few weeks before Tenet came out.
Well, you need to invert time and go back and stop yourself from saying that.
Where does this rank in Christopher Nolan movies for you?
I don't know. Yeah, I got asked that immediately after the movie. I was like, I don't know. I'll have to see it again. I'm a big... what's your favorite Christopher Nolan movie?
Shit, man. Well, my favorites of things change all the time. But right now, it's this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a humongous fan of The Prestige. I'm not going to say that's like his best movie or anything like that. And I've been really into Interstellar the last year or two after rewatching it. But yeah, this is incredible. I want to see it again. Like Brittany and I talked about, we really want to see the subtitles and fill in some of the gaps that we missed. But the problem is I've only seen Dunkirk once. I've seen this once. I've seen Inception once. I just need to see them all. I've seen The Prestige 12 times. It's just, I don't know. Just
The Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight. I mean, the Batman trilogy is awesome. I mean, I really, really like him. And yeah, it's hard to say that. I mean, this is the one I'm thinking about. Like, I've been thinking about it for a week since I saw it, or however long it's been. But yeah, it's cool. That's cool that that's your favorite right now. I'll have to get another viewing, but I mean, it blew me away. It definitely blew me away more than any of the other ones I've seen of his. So, except for The Prestige, that was mind numbing to me because that was kind of before all of his twists, more of his twists. But is there anything else you want to touch on that we can get to some foregone conclusions of yeses and nos?
Let's get into yes or no.
All right, go ahead.
All right, this one's an obvious yes. I think, like I said, it's probably the best Christopher Nolan movie that I've seen in terms of my current mindset. Maybe that has to do with me not being in theaters for several months, because as you probably know, Brett, I'm a big-time theater goer. I don't know, I needed this, I got this, I loved this. Was it hard to understand? Yes. Did I get everything that went on? Probably not. Actually, definitely not. It's worth a rewatch or two. But I enjoyed it start to finish. It didn't feel the runtime. Really good. Awesome movie. Hard yes. Yes.
You enjoyed it start to finish, but did you enjoy it finish to start? Like it was designed?
You have to watch it backwards to really understand all the nuances.
For sure. This is a definite yes for me. I throw around 5-star ratings a lot more than usual, but this is 5-star to me. If you read my review, I loved everything about it. I loved the last 15 minutes of the movie. I joked that that's like a 10-star for me. The Robert Pattinson, you find out that they're boys in the future and that he sacrificed. It's just so good. Like
I love that.
I was going to say earlier that there is no, the only emotional core is Kat, but at the very end you get a big emotional dump with those two. Like it's super sad, but it's hard to be sad when Robert Pattinson's smiling like that, saying about how many crazy times together they have in the future. I mean, it's at least uplifting in a sad part of the movie. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Definite yes. I can't wait to see it again. If you feel up to it, guys, go see it. If you can. If not, promise me you're going to watch it on minimum a 1080p TV with a good sound bar. I mean, you have to. If you're going to watch it on a laptop, get out of my face. I'm still mad that Pappy, the only time he's ever seen Interstellar was on a laptop, and he didn't like it. Like, yeah, dude, it's not meant to be seen on a laptop. All right, so I'm up to 31 minutes. I'm in big trouble. But I thought, I mean, talking about a movie like this in 31 minutes, I mean, we're probably the best podcast hosts ever. Maybe?
Well, we scratched the surface, and I think that's maybe enough to get people to go see it.
Maybe I would love to. We've never done this, but maybe in like a year, when everyone's seen it, like revisiting it and doing like a special,
like a proper episode,
episode. Maybe even split it into two. Because maybe I just think it'd be really fun. And if anyone dislikes it on the pod, I mean, they're dead to me. So
pick it, Brett. You win trivia more than anyone else.
Yeah, me and Stevie for sure. Yeah, we'll have to wait till everyone sees it. But well, this has been Tenet spoilers. I had a good time. I hope you liked this episode, and I guess we can kick it to Spoiler Man real quick. Take it away, Spoiler Man.
Spoiler Man here. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is Podcast Spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song.
Hey everybody, it's Pappy. I know I wasn't on the episode, but I'm coming to you live from the future to read an email about Tenet that we got after Brett and Kylo had finished recording the podcast. This is from Brandon C. Hey guys, love the show. It's helped me get through COVID. I know theaters are rough, but is there any ways to spoil Tenet? I live in California and flew out to Dallas to watch the movie, then flew back the next day. The next weekend, I drove to Nevada and back to watch it again. If it's possible, that would be incredible. Thank you, Brandon C. Brandon C., we just wanted to read your email because it was nice and your dedication is incredible. Thank you for listening. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please keep sending us your emails and movie requests. We really appreciate them. We're growing like crazy during this pandemic, which is a weird thing to say, but thanks for everybody who supported us, and that was Spoilers.
That was Spoilers.